Hello. It is wonderful to be here with you. Today, we're going to look at your default parenting style. So, this is the style that kicks in to high gear often when you're stressed out. And the reason I want to invite you to look at your style is to figure out not only which style it is, but I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of each. And I'm going to give a few things, tips to look out for so that, especially if you're parenting a stubborn child, your style can better inspire your child to listen to you, better inspire your child to respect you, better inspire you and your child to have a lifelong connecting relationship, one that makes your life that much easier, that you're not just fighting them every step of the way, or they're not blindsiding you where you're like, what do I do now? So if you have that child who questions everything you say, who marches to the beat of their own drum, you're exactly in the right place. And by the way, if you like this video, I sure would appreciate you giving it a thumbs up. So let's begin. I'm actually going to jump right into my new book, Love Parenting: 9 Steps to Inspire Your Stubborn Child to Listen to You, but without yelling, bribing, or caving in. And this is exactly what I want you to be aware of is where are you caving in or where are you coming down too hard? And it often depends upon the parenting style that creeps up on us or sometimes kicks into high gear when we get triggered. So, this is the one that will also kick in when your kid does that annoying thing that maybe you've told them to not do 5 times in the last half an hour, or when you have a deadline at work and you just are transforming into ways that maybe you even hardly recognize, or maybe that reminds you of your own parent. That often can happen for my clients. So I want you to imagine this scene. It's been one of those days. The clock is sprinting towards bedtime. The kitchen looks like there has been a high school food fight in it, and you've got a looming work deadline. And you've just discovered that your adorable kiddos have dumped most of their spaghetti behind the living room couch. FYI, this was right after you struck a deal for one more show in exchange for empty dinner plates. Now, how would you react to this type of high octane parenting moment? This is exactly what my client Candace faced. Her default style in such chaos, well, it was full on monster mom. Have you been there? But after the storm passed, she laughed right along with my other students in the Strong Willed Child Transformation Boot Camp. Many parents howled in recognition, and I thank you, Candace, for being such a great sport at this kind of behavior because they know that their children also do crazy things sometimes. And sometimes they experience those crazy hair on fire moments when their energy level is maybe running on empty or is not fully charged. When this happens, this often determines our parenting approach. Are we um, low on batteries, like in terms of our energy batteries? When that happens and we're exhausted or stressed to the bone, our default style can jump out and bite us in the parenting rear end. So instead of remembering to take a parenting pause, to take a few deep breaths before responding, we'll often react, which adds fire to that family bonfire. So often it's the daily whirlwind of parenting and juggling life that will don a superhero cape or a villain costume within also often the same day. So there are 5 personalities, kind of personas, and each style boasts its own blend of superpowers and also, yes, kryptonite. So, by identifying with one or a mix of these personalities, my hope is that you'll be better prepared to fight the stormy parenting days with less drama and more grace and even smiles. So, the first one I mentioned, my client Candace used, which was the monster mom, or you could call it dragon dad. The pros of this style is it's really assertive, and control is your jam. And these strong traits can be effective in quickly resolving dangerous or potentially harmful situations because you'll act and respond quicker than a kid gobbling up dessert. The cons of this style: it can brew up a storm of fear, hurt, and even resentment in your children. And this can stifle open communication and often fuel an angry child cycle that brings out no one's best. Often, stubborn kids, especially strong willed kids, will then try to out control you. And then it become this power struggle that nobody likes. So here's my recommendation. If you can relate to this style, I want you to really focus on mindfulness. Um, and these are the practicing like those parenting pauses, especially when you're only just a tad stressed. This way, you can make it more of a habit. So tempering your fiery fury can help you dial down the guilt for cutting down your child to size. Oh, and when in doubt, get support from a counselor or coach who's skilled at helping you uncover your hidden monster mom or dragon dad payoffs, needs, and triggers. The second one is mission driven mom or diligent dad. So, the pros to this style is you're a planning powerhouse. You're highly organized, very goal oriented. This style instills discipline, dependable routines, and can often support a high degree of responsibility in kids, all things we like. Here's the downside though, you're likely juggling a gazillion balls. And hey, if this parenting gig doesn't work out, maybe Cirque du Soleil will hire you. But at the cost, doing this style is at the cost of presence. And sometimes your child's spontaneous play is forgotten. Exploration, just hanging out, because after all, you've got a schedule to uphold. But when the schedule trumps presence, connection, then we've got troubles. So the recommendation here is get good at delineating between your productive time and just quality being time with your child. So you want to set aside time for unstructured activities, white space. It just lets you breathe, lets you go off the clock, lets you be off the texts and all the notifications. This is where you can let your hair down and also like to just do a quick check in with yourself now. Do you get enough just goof off time? Time where you're not productive. I can't tell you how many of my clients just recently and I've had this conversation about the guilt of like, oh, but I have there's always one more thing. There will always be one more thing on your to-do list. However, I absolutely believe that the more white space you put in, the more time for relaxation that you cultivate, the more you'll actually be productive in the time you set aside to be productive. You'll actually get more things checked off your to do list. You also won't be so resentful. The third style is a meta analysis mom or data dad. So the pros of this style is like your middle name is be prepared. So this persona is highly thoughtful and implements well informed decisions. Yet the cons are this: overanalysis can lead to analysis paralysis. Have you heard that before? And this confusing indecision part may create emotional disconnect. And having such a rational approach can also be void of connection, and a child might not feel heard or supported enough. So here's my recommendation: when the stakes aren't that high, what if you ditch the data for gut feelings and focus on building an emotional bond? After all, kids' emotions don't always make sense or fit into neat little boxes. So just being able to sit with their big emotions, to be like, hey, how are you feeling right now? You look like you're really angry. Is that true? And just sit with it, not fix it, not find a way to get through it. Just be with it. Second to last one is maternal mom or doting dad. So the pros of this style are think bluey dad here. Like you're an emotional nurturer. This is your rock star ability for your kids, and it can often be quite playful and caring. The cons are this: be aware that an overprotective nature can lead to helicopter parenting, that stifles our kids' need for independence and self confidence. Plus, sometimes a lack of boundaries can become confusing moving targets for our children. So, the recommendation here is to make sure that you're actively looking to foster healthy independence while offering your support. What if you encourage them to make their own play dates, order their own food, help them speak up for their own needs with others? Finally, the maverick mom or deal maker dreamer dad. So, the pros of this style are very creative, adaptable, sometimes even very artistic. I can think about a few clients. One is in the movie industry, another one is a musician. They're about fun, innovation, and it's a wonderful breath of fresh air, and it's never boring for the kids. The cons, however, is often there's a lack of routine. There's inconsistent boundaries, and it can leave kids feeling unsettled, lost, and ultimately undone. Sometimes these type of parents even have their own ADHD traits. So the recommendation here is to set a few non-negotiable rules that provide stability. A solid bedtime routine is often a great place to start. And if your spouse is more routine oriented, then follow their lead on this one. Let them take the lead and you take a bit of a back seat. So I'm curious, do you recognize yourself in any of these styles? Were there any recommendations that you might be itching to try or say, yeah, that's a good reminder? I really want you to capture your thoughts because the quicker you capture your thoughts and the more you put thought into it, the more chances are you are to do something about it. Because parenting, it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And you, my friend, are here, and I'm so grateful you're spending your time with me. But it's those small tweaks that can make all the difference to your parenting. So, one last question for you. Um, is your default parenting style fostering the mutual respect, love, and ease you're aiming for? Is it a yes or is it a no? And if it is a no or not really, then your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to grow into the parent your kids need while still being authentically you, but with less drama and more connection. I would love to continue this conversation. If you like what you hear from me here and want more, I invite you to come on over to the Stubborn Child Solutions Facebook group. It's free. You can connect with me there. You can DM me. And I also just want to thank you. Thank you for doing what you do as your parents, as your child's parent, day in, day out. As I said before, it is not a marathon, it is a sprint. And I know it can be exhausting at times. So, on behalf of your family, I thank you. God bless. And I look forward to hopefully speaking with you very, very soon. Take care now. Bye bye.